I am Carlos with RMS Slot Cars, and today we're going to talk about upgrading your Carrera 124 digital 124 slot car with a RMS motor. I'm going to show you the steps that it takes from beginning to end to install your upgraded motor into your new car. I should have done this video many years ago. I just don't like doing videos. But I'm doing it where I'm not the star of the video. The product and the process are that's what takes the attention. That's the focus of the attention, is the product and the process, not me. And so I have the camera focused on the car right here. So as you can see, it's a Carrera digital 124 scale car. It's like the polarity switch has been turned in the other direction, getting ready because we're using on a analog track. So I'm just flipping the polarity switch. As you can see, it will go in this direction, but if you turn it around to this direction, it won't go until you flip the polarity switch. I hope you saw that. Hope I made the camera. And now you see it'll go in this direction. There we go. And I have it running at 12 volts, so it's not the 18 volts, but at 12 volts, you know, that doesn't sound particularly fast, because it's not. 12 volts is not very fast. So that's what the RMS motor is for, to give you speed. And you can run it as high as 20 volts if you want to, but I would never suggest running over 20 volts. 12 to 18 should be plenty. Anywhere in there should be plenty. I've run it as low as 12 and had excellent results. So, and basically what I do is take the 4 screws out of the car. That's what I do. And I use a screwdriver. I just have a spare magnet here on the side of the screwdriver, and that just makes sure that the screws don't go flying around when you remove them from the car. So I've done that for a few years now, and it's saved countless headaches. Other thing you can do, speaking of magnets, I have a spare magnet here that I use, and I put it here on the bottom of the car. And the reason I do that is so that I'll show you when we get inside. The reason we do it is so that when we remove these 2 screws right here, it holds the center magnet in place because it can't go anywhere. That's just a spare magnet I have laying around. It'll just hold it so that the magnet itself won't go floating around. But I wanted to show all the steps it takes to get this thing going. Remove the screws there off the screwdriver and start removing screws all over again. And basically you're gonna remove these 4 screws here that hold the motor pod in place, okay? So that's what I'm doing now. Again, I just wanna show the entire process so that people see exactly what it takes in order to do it, how quick you can actually do it. Move that stuff out of the way just a little bit there. Here's the third screw, and here's the 4th screw. And these cars, the screws here are longer. Oops. So this screw is from the back side, and this longer screw is from the front side. And for pretty much 90% of the cars, that's the way it is. So let's take that out. Those are the 4 screws over there. I forgot to do that. Let's go ahead and turn the power off and gently remove the plug. Now the whole pod can come out. I generally try and hold that in place, and this can come out. Let me just there's that, and we'll take this off of there. There you go. That's the entire pod right there. Let's set this to the side for a second. Whoops. There we go. Put that up there for a second. Okay, so here's the motor pod. So with the motor pod itself, you have the axle screws you have to remove right here, and you have 2 motor screws to remove. When you put the RMS motor in, you don't put these 2. You don't reinstall these 2 screws, but you do need to put in these 2 screws. So what I like to do is just keep everything at the same orientation. We're gonna get this out of here. Make sure everything's oriented right. I actually set the motor down like that. I open up my RMS motor. There are instructions inside, but you know, they were printed probably 7 or 8 years ago. They're still valid, but you know, it's just having the internet, having YouTube, and you can a YouTube video that shows this process for free. I think it's just so much cooler. Oh, you know, I don't want to do that. Let's see here. Come on. And that's something. It's harder to open the bag than it is to remove the screws. Isn't that terrible? Oh, let's see. This will do it. You're thinking probably, if a guy can't open a bag, how in the world should I trust him to show me how to swap a motor if he can't even open a little plastic bag? But there we go. The only reason I'm taking my time to do it because I want to save the bag. But there, the bag's open. And so, like I said, what I do is just orient the motor the way it's going to go in. And that way it's going to go in just like that. And I know it because the pinion is on this side. And this, yeah, and so I'll show you here. So, and the original motor, the wires are here on the side, and they come out the side of the motor, and come out the front towards the front of the car. On the new motor, when you put it in there, they're going to sit on the very top of the motor can. So they just sit over the top and go through to the front of the car. So again, I'm going to just orient it that way and take these other screws out so I know where they stay with each other. And remove these two screws, and I'll just sit the motor, the axle pod to the side in the same orientation as the pod is right now. And that way I don't have to forget, you know, what did I do? Where did it go? I take it out and just sit it right there. It's going to move around a little bit, but I just sit it just like that. And here we have the two motor screws for the motor pod here. Just take these two screws. And what I do is just take these off, and then when I take this motor out, I just return them. I put this motor over to the side. I put the screws back into the motor for safekeeping. You know, and that way, if I ever need them, or if I ever decide to go back to the motor, they're right here. You know, you don't have to worry about it because you're not going to put these screws in there. So, whoops. Yeah, this is the hard part, is getting the screws in. There we go. Just a couple turns is plenty. You just take this motor, sit it aside for safekeeping. This is the motor that goes in now. You just take it and you just thread just thread the wiring through the motor cage like that. Okay. And what you're doing is I'm going to pop in the back side here. And then on the front side of it, you have a little O-ring right there. And the O-ring will keep it in the right place up front. See, there you go. See the O-ring right there? I hope that comes through on camera. So there you go. You get that. You're all good. You don't need screws right here. You don't have to worry about that. So you just grab your axle back and you put your axle right in. Oops. So now the axle is connected back to the motor pod. The screws and the wiring is going over the top like it should. We'll connect that to the car. Let's see, and you have a nice good mesh with the gears right there. Nice, beautiful mesh right there. Okay. So now that you have that, make sure the car is oriented properly. Go ahead and just sit this back in the way it went. There we go. And when you cinch it down with the screws, it's going to tighten down the motor pod to where it'll bring in pressure from the bottom, which is why you don't need those other screws. So here is the first screw. And the order doesn't mind. I always kind of learned from working on cars back in the day that you kind of install screws in a diagonal pattern whenever you can, from the furthest point out inward, from the ends to, I learned that but that was 35, whatever, maybe 40 years ago. So I'm an old guy. So I don't think the order in which you reinstall the screws matters. That's just how I do it, because that's how I learned how to do it, and I have always done it that way. So then you just do that, and you go ahead and plug it back in here, and insert the plug. Okay, and just retuck the wires, and you can put them back right here for the that wire. That's fine. This wire here is free to float, and I'll just turn it back on, and you'll see that you are good to go. Oops. Sorry. Oh, don't forget about the magnet at the bottom. Sorry about that. That was not good. Remove the magnet from the bottom, and now you're good to go. And that's some serious speed right there. At that point, just reinstall your body. With your screws there, and you are good to go. Obviously, you can if you've seen enough, you can obviously just forget about this video at this point or turn it off. But I wanted people to see how long it actually takes to do one car. And obviously, two things: I'm working with gloves, I'm talking to you guys, and I'm just going through all the steps that it takes. So I'm not timing the video from where I'm sitting, but I'm thinking 5 minutes at the most or something like that. And sometimes I'll just go ahead and I'm gonna move this up just a little bit so it's not quite as powerful. There we go. One screw. Two screws. The motor, if the screws feel difficult to screw down, back it out and come back at it again. It just means that you want it at the wrong angle. You don't want to strip the screws. They're really, make them durable, but not that durable. But there you go. The car is put together again. You're good to go. I mean, generally, like in this situation with that motor and the stock tires, this is just 12 volts. This is a stock, 132nd power supply I'm using. But the motor, the tires actually break loose when they spin, because that's how much speed you get. I mean, it's super duper fast. I wish I could show you that on camera, but I can't. But that's how you do it. So here's how you replace the motor. And again, this is the RMS 124 slot car motor. You have a little tech sheet inside. You don't have to follow this if you watch the video. This is before I ever did a YouTube video, but this tells you, if you don't have video, this tells you how to do it. But here, you just saw how it's done. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section or whatever, or email me directly at rmsslotcars@gmail.com. That's rmsslotcars@gmail.com. Thanks a lot, guys. Happy slotting.